Guys, welcome to another over the board chess tournament. I've been playing right now Canadian Chess Championship 2025. Over the next 9 days, you will see 9 recaps of this tournament. In the first round, I was playing against 10-year-old kid. Oh man, I swear to God, I just hate playing against kids, especially those who have 1940 at 10 years old. Last time I was facing one of these guys, 1800 at 9 years old, and guess what? Now this guy is the youngest international master in Canadian chess history. Aaron Mindes, he's playing in this Canadian Chess Championship as well. But let's get back to my game. I was playing with 5 pieces, so I tried to not think much of it, like just play a regular game. But once again, you'll see what happened. I was outcalculated in certain moments, and it was definitely a very tough game. So I begin with e4. I thought maybe play d4 just to get him off prep, because he would probably 100% prepare for e4 and not even look at d4. But after d4, the only thing I know is maybe, let's say, call system, which is set up after d4, let's say knight f6, e3, d5, bishop d3, or, of course, what I've been recommending for a lot of people is knight f3, d5, and bishop f4, London system. But after e4, there's just a variety of different interesting positions, and I'm playing this my whole life, so I'm not changing anything. c5. So in the database online, I found that he played e6 in some of the games, he played e5 in some of the games, and he played c5 as well. So I mostly prepared for c5. I tried to look at e6 and e5. I have some preparations there as well. So I go knight f3, d6, and we're going for knight of system. And after h3, e5, I've been playing move knight e2. So, and I knew he would probably prepare for it. Go something like h5, bishop g5, and I asked him after the game, like, what would you play here, bishop e6, and I guess we're just getting this boring position, knight e3, and it's around equal. So before the game, I looked at my options. I didn't really prepare at knight b3. I don't really like this move because there are like a lot of sharp lines. There's something along, I'm not sure if h5 here, but there is f4 coming at some point. Then maybe knight c6, takes, knight d5, something along these lines. But I decided to go for knight f3. So knight f3 is kind of interesting move in terms of, let's say after knight e2, the best move is h5. While after knight f3, if now black go h5, they seriously weaken g5 square. And now, from what I remember, bishop c4 gives white just an absolutely insane advantage. So d5 square, bishop g5, bishop f6, we kind of get the same as after knight e2, but knight on f3 is just better located. So white are a lot better in this position. But we didn't see anything like this, because after knight f3 he goes b5. And I briefly checked the lines this morning, and I knew what I should play, a4, b4, knight d5. So there is like a small trap. He could take on e4. It's not really a trap, but there is like a very strong knight g5 option. And if knight g5, I go bishop g5, and it turns out that probably black will play down an exchange. If they play f6, I just go back bishop e3, and it's just a horrible, absolutely horrible position. So if they play queen g5, I just go knight e7, king d8, and knight a8, I take an exchange, knight b6, bishop g2 now is not yet possible due to rook g1. If knight d7, h4, king g6, knight d5, and white are slightly better. So he plays bishop e7, good move, and after knight f6, which turned out to be a very good move, because from now on, I'm on my own. So he spent some time thinking here, play bishop e7, which is not that bad. Takes, bishop c4. So I spent a lot of time thinking here as well. So I first started calculating bishop e3, My idea was that I want to go bishop b6, and now if knight d5, king d5, white are completely winning. But there is of course knight bd7, and the position is more or less fine. I can play c4, I can once again sacrifice a pawn, but after knight 7, king d5, once again there is a double trouble, e4, d5. But of course b takes c3, knight c3, and the position is around equal. So, spend some time calculating and decide that knight f6 should be the best option. So of course she takes f6 is not an option, bishop goes to f6. And now I can't say I played the best move. I spent some time analyzing king d5, but I just, you know, I have kind of played in these structures before when I was younger, and I've never had good results here. So king d5, what people usually play is rook a7, of course, bishop e3, and now bishop e6. And after king d2, not rook d7, because now pawn is under attack. That's what I kind of missed. So now rook b7 is the only move, pretty much is forced, and after a5 I have a slight advantage. But again, it's hard to determine, like castle, bishop d3, king c8, rook c1, and we kind of transpose into this position where, alright, probably I have some edge, but it's still very unclear. The rook is kind of active, yeah, potentially weakness on a6, but hard to determine who's gonna be on top. So I go bishop c4, and I thought bishop d5, I'm more or less good. So bishop b7, bishop d5, trade. So that's what I kind of want to analyze straight, king d5. And now let's say rook a7, bishop e3, rook d7, queen d2 or something. Wait, I didn't calculate this necessarily. Wait, bishop d5. Actually, I did calculate this. There's apparently knight d7, which I didn't even see because it just gives up a pawn. But rook a7, bishop e3, maybe rook c7 is what I looked at, but bishop b6 just wins the game. So I probably looked at rook d7. And apparently I have some advantage, but of course that didn't happen on the board because black don't have to take it. So they played queen c7. And now there is a very interesting line. So queen c7, I saw it after I played bishop d5, and I saw it even before. So there's like an interesting line which I want to show you. I didn't play bishop b7. Queen b7, queen d6. So I saw that my pawn on e4 is kinda, and I kinda stopped calculating, and I even saw bishop e3, but then, you know, I didn't even dive deep into calculation here, because I thought, alright, black take on e4, they have e5 pawn, but what I didn't realize is that, I mean, black has some problems with b4, black has some problems with e5, black has some problems with castling the skin as of right now. So this position is actually not that easy to play. If they try to be greedy, rook c1 just wins the game. Let's say queen f5, there's queen d5, and rook is basically picked up. Didn't happen, because I played more solid. I played castle. After x takes queen c6, I kind of thought again, should I go to the endgame? Should I retreat my queen back to d3, protecting the e4, and then trying to play positionally? But you know, there is a famous saying, at least in Russian, with kids to the endgame. I'm not sure if foreign people have the same, but in Russia we had kind of this, you know, phrase. So I decided, alright, I might be going to the endgame where I'm slightly better, but what I didn't realize is that after takes, so pretty much king d7, king e7 are all bad moves, and I thought, because my knight basically goes to d2, c4, and I thought I have an advantage. What I did forget about is this simple bishop e7 move. And now I played the same knight d2 idea, but after bishop e7, I realized that he wants to bring his knight not to c6, but knight e7 and knight f6, hitting my rook and my pawn on e4. Oh guys, and I spent a while trying to figure out what would be the best option here, and I played the wrong one. So I calculated bishop d2 first, but look, what I calculated is of course knight e7, because knight e6, I thought if I play c3 takes bishop c3, I have this edge and I should not have any problems. Computer apparently likes bishop e3 right now, and then maybe knight d2, knight c4 again. So I didn't see bishop e3. I honestly want to play with c3 at this point, or maybe even rook d1 or something, or knight e1, knight e1, knight d3. I actually plan to go c3, which apparently is not best. So I played knight d2. Knight d7, knight f6. So let me show you what I calculate. Knight d7, bishop b4, knight f6. Let's say rook d3, knight e4, and I didn't see knight d2. I considered something like rook e1, but there is f5. But after knight d2, it seems like an absolutely easy play. Like there is a huge weakness. Let's say f5. Now I can take, and go rook d5. And I have this target. I have this target. White are probably just strategically winning. But you know, Romka can't find anything. So I went for a completely different setup. Knight d2. And knight d2, you will see, because pretty much until move 21, that's move 17. So in next 4 moves, I calculated the line, and I thought I should be fine. But I didn't see that I'm simply losing a piece. So what I started calculating is what happened in the game. So we have knight d7, I attack the opponent d6, now he goes knight f6, and I was like, I go knight d6 and I should be fine. Because let's say bishop d6, I'm just a lot better, because I calculate knight e4, rook d5, and I thought this pawn is falling, f6, f3, and apparently there is knight g3, which I missed in my calculations. I thought that black have to go this way, and I just take, and I'm completely winning. I completely forgot to calculate knight g3 in my calculations, but I believe I still have a small edge. Let's say I can go king f2, knight f5, c3 takes, and there's a huge target on a5 for white pieces. Didn't happen, because after knight d6, I also thought maybe there is some king f8, but apparently I'm just I never play rook d2 move, of course. I'll play something like bishop e3. Oh, so yeah, I have maybe to play this, and yeah, this is what I was calculating. Knight e4. Yeah, now rook d7. Yeah, I'm slightly better. But of course that didn't happen, because what I also saw is that there is king d7, and I was like, okay, I take on f7, I take on h8, and then my knight comes back, attacking on e5, and I get back for g5 or e5. So I saw everything after I played knight d2. Knight c4, knight d6, I saw this line, knight c4, but guys, I missed something. You try to visualize with me right now. Knight d7, knight c4, knight f6, knight d6, king d7, knight f7, knight d5, knight h8, and the thing is, I saw the move which he played, but I just thought my knight should get out. But so apparently knight on d5 is still hanging. If it goes back, let's say to f6 or b6, my knight just comes back through f7, g5, and I'm fine. But this knight can block this bishop from c1, and therefore also block g5 square axis. So knight f4 in the end of the line just gives black a free piece. But the thing is, why? Because after, if knight f7 happens, there's king e6 attacking the knight on f7, and my knight is cooked. And that's exactly what happened in the game, and I was so disappointed with myself, with the way I played, with the way I calculated this. Knight f6, knight d6, knight f7, knight h8. So after knight h8, I forgot that there is knight f4, and my knight never gets out. Unfortunately, that's the reality. And what I could have done differently is, of course, after knight d5, I could just take on d5. Now this is under attack, this is under attack. He has to do something. I calculate something on rook hc8 attacking this one, but I also saw that, okay, I saw it only after the game when I started analyzing further, like if I played takes d5 instead of knight h8. Yeah, apparently this was a better position for white pieces, but Alright, that happens. What I also could have played is knight c4. And after takes, guess what? Rook c8 is actually one of the moves. Black allow white to check, to fork hin and rook, but guess what? This position is just a lot worse for white just because black have active pieces, and unfortunately it looks like I'm just losing the pawn. So I plan to go c3, that's what I calculated, but apparently there is just takes and king d5. And I'll have to defend the game. I'll have to defend the sun game for a while. Yes, the position is, the pawns are equal, but I have two weaknesses. It's honestly, it's an unpleasant position to be in. But after knight d5, knight h8, knight f4, I realized I'm losing a piece. Now I have 2 pawns for the piece. So I was like, how can I make it at least slightly better for myself? And I was like, okay, I'll take on e5. Knight f7, knight f5, but still I felt like I'm gonna lose the game. I honestly thought of resigning at this very moment, but I was like, okay, I have 3 pawns for the piece. He might make some mistakes and I might save the game. And I think he played too fast. At this point, I'm not going to lie. I think I can tell you what the time is. I had 37 minutes while he had 1 hour 6 minutes. That's absolutely insane. So I went for bishop f4, king f4, rook e1. But here again, you gotta be sure you put your bishop on the active square, which is c5. Actually, after bishop c5, I just didn't see a follow-up, and it looks like bishop c5 just wins very easy. So bishop c5, I was like, I can't play g3. So one of my ideas was actually, let's say they go something like a5, g3, and let's say they're trying to be active, I go rook e3 checkmate. Of course, that will never happen. That's why I thought that if bishop c5 is played at any moment, and then let's say I go something like g3, I no longer have rook e3, and bishop f2 is a serious threat. And if I go, let's say rook f1, rook e8, black will just pick up pawn on e4, then go rook e2, take the pawn, and I'm hopeless. So I was like, yeah, if he finds something like this, I'm completely cooked. So he goes g5, which I thought honestly is a great move, because he doesn't let me play g3 f4. But bishop c5 has the same idea. Bishop c5 doesn't let me play, even if king f5 is happening. King g2, and now you can play g5, but at least bishop is on an active square, and it's no longer in different attacks on e-file. So I go g3. King goes to e5, and now I go king g2. Rook goes to c8, rook e2, rook e4, f3. And now I started thinking, how can I actually try to push f4 and then e5, at least create some sort of counterplay? And he helped me. He actually helped me. He goes bishop f6 again, not the bad move, kind of good in a way. So I go h4. And now we discussed after the game that maybe he should have tried taking this pawn. And if I go f4, king s6, and it's apparently very hard. Also, I calculate, I think g4 is what I actually plan to play, but there is bishop b2, and after king h3, there is bishop c1 attacking the pawn on f4, and after f5, king f5. Once again, dark squares, my pawns cannot be pushed. Black are probably going to win the game. But after h4, he got scared and he played h6 almost immediately. And after takes, I immediately realized that I'm out of danger. I go king h3, I go king g4, but once again I made some mistakes. King s6, king g4, and I thought I should be fine. Like, if I give up this pawn, I was like, I take the pawn, I have 3 passed pawns on the king side, it should be kind of good. But what I forgot about, and what he didn't even see is, probably didn't even see, but it's very hard to spot, like, yes, like 3 pawns, it might be unpleasant to get into this structure. But he could have gotten for my a pawn. And then what happens is, I can't really push them far away. Like, I can go f5, king s7, but that's about it. Like, rook goes to a3 attack, and this pawn I go g4, and now rook f3, and suddenly the pawns are stopped, and it's very hard to advance as well. like I might go rook. I mean, I can't even get my rook off e-file since this pawn is yeah, it looks lost because I just can't push, and eventually bishop goes to c3, and then black start pushing this a5 pawn to a1, so it looked hopeless. But he goes rook c5, and after b3 I was like, okay, finally I'm safe. I was about to offer him a draw. Rook c8, f4 takes, rook g8, king f3, rook h8, e5. After bishop e7, he played bishop e7, offered me a draw, and I can accept. I didn't want to play it further, even though you might actually see that at this point I mean, computer gives slight edge. I mean, 0.12 is definitely not an advantage. So what could have happened here? After king f4, I thought rook h4, rook g2, and I just didn't see a way to improve my position. If I go king f5, rook goes to h5, and then I have to basically repeat moves. The computer says this, but after bishop d8, I mean, I honestly don't know if this rook d6 and I suddenly pick up a pawn, so don't even need to go that far. So that's what I was calculating. Oh, now king e6, so rook d7. Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, I would rather take a draw right now, go home, have some, you know, relax time, not really, you know, play this song forever. And yeah, bishop e7, just took a draw and was like, okay, we move on to the next round. As far as accuracy is concerned, despite me blundering a piece, I still played pretty decent, almost 90%. And honestly, look at his accuracy as well, 89.5, 89.8. I actually had a higher accuracy, which is absolutely insane, but I think I pretty much tried to play for a draw, which I managed to get, and he just should have maybe spent some time because he finished with 1 hour on the clock, and that's yeah, he calculates fast, he calculates well, but he should have spent some time somewhere, because yeah, I definitely felt like I was losing at some point, and yeah, I didn't think it was -3 apparently, but it was, and yeah, I'm just kind of happy with the result, despite me, you know, making a draw with lower rated opponents. But once again, 10-year-old. This guy is 1940. I mean, at least I think there's a huge chance he will be my rating within like maybe next 2 years, if not even higher. But you can't really make any, you know, conclusions based on this. But yeah, extremely talented calculator. Yeah, I was very sad at some point. I was like, nah man, I'm losing this game. That's unfortunately, but yeah, gotta save. I'll see you in the recap of round number 2. Waiting for my parents still. 2 rounds tomorrow, but you'll see one by one. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.